Fox News alert. Congress has just voted to formally launch an impeachment inquiry into the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden.
On this vote, the yeas are 220 and the nays are 212. The previous question is ordered.
So what does an inquiry do? It supercharges investigative powers because the Bidens are stonewalling and sets the wheels in motion for a Joe Biden impeachment, which, if the votes are there, would make him the fourth American president to be impeached. The last time a Democrat was impeached, Bill Clinton.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
And 25 years later, Democrats are using the same line of defense. Today, to the surprise of many, Hunter Biden, with Eric Swalwell by his side, showed up to the steps of Congress. Hunter was subpoenaed, and today was the deadline to show up for a closed-door deposition with House investigators. Well, he pulled up fashionably late, as Hunter usually does, and like Bill Clinton did, he looked into the camera and said, "I did not have financial relations with that man, Joe Biden."
Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist.
Not financially involved. Well, that's an interesting phrase. We went from Joe didn't know anything to Joe wasn't financially involved, which is just another lie. Soon we'll hear Joe was not knowingly financially involved. Hunter announced that, yes, he loves drugs, prostitutes, bribes, stiffing his ex for alimony, hiding from paternity lawsuits, using the N-word, and sleeping with spies, but it's the Republicans who were shameless.
In the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances. But to suggest that as grounds for an impeachment inquiry is beyond the absurd. It's shameless. There is no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen.
Hunter, we have about $250,000 of your money that went to your father. What do you call those? Well, he calls them false facts.
They have lied over and over about every aspect of my personal and professional life. So much so that their lies have become the false facts believed by too many people.
Now, I'm old enough to remember when Kellyanne Conway said alternative facts. Remember that was a 2-week scandal? And now we have false facts. Notice Hunter never actually refuted what the false facts are. What exactly is false about the bank records, photos, and emails? And then Hunter said he was the victim of revenge porn.
They displayed naked photos of me during an oversight hearing. And they have taken the light of my dad's love, for me, and presented it as darkness.
Hunter filmed himself smoking crack with escorts and wants you to feel guilty about it. And enough with the father-son poetry. If I was Hunter's dad, I'd have a hard time loving that kid. Biden keeps on saying how proud he is of Hunter. What is he so proud of? Guy's a disaster. He's an embarrassment. He's a crook. He's a 53-year-old slob. Your 53-year-old tax cheat son's living at your house and you're proud of him? You want to know why Biden's proud? Because if he calls his son a screw-up, Hunter's going to flip on him. Dad, remember when you had dinner with my clients? Remember when you flew me on Air Force 2 15 times? Remember when I threw you on speakerphone 20 times and talked with my business partners? Oh, remember how I set you up with an office in Georgetown and you had a suite next to Mr. Dong? Yeah, the family has to stick together. No kidding. If one goes down, all go down. You think Hunter's man enough to go to prison for his dad? No, he's not going to make daddy pardon him and get out of trouble like he always does. But this is the first time Joe Biden needs help getting out of trouble. And for the first time, Biden needs Hunter. Shut your mouth, son. I know we talk every day on the phone, but I don't know what you do for a living, right? Right? So if Republicans have a bunch of false facts, why didn't Hunter walk into Congress like he was supposed to today and set the facts straight? Hunter just read a speech his lawyer wrote and went to lunch. He just gave Congress the bird and blew off my favorite reporter, Hillary Vaughn.
Mr. Biden, was it worth it trying to sell the family name? Do you want President Biden to pardon you, sir? Was it worth it selling the family name?
Move. Clear path, please.
Have you asked your father for a pardon?
Business dealings.
Biden, why are you testifying before the committee today? How did you get into so much trouble?
It's the first time Hunter ever ignored a woman. And by the way, could you imagine if Trump's sons did this? Hey, Congress, screw you. I'm not telling you anything. The Trump sons sat for hours of depositions about the Russia hoax. They turned over every document. The Trump sons are still being called into court and testifying under oath. You're not allowed to blow off a congressional subpoena. Peter Navarro tried it, and they threw leg shackles on him, gave him a full-body cavity search. Steve Bannon tried it. He was arrested for contempt of Congress. But the Bidens have been getting away with murder for decades, so how would this be any different? So Republicans are going to move to have him charged.
We're disappointed that he didn't show up. I mean, he was just across the way at the Capitol. We expect him to come in for his interview, for his deposition. And frankly, we'll also, I think, look at contempt proceedings as we move forward.
This means the Biden Justice Department is going to have to arrest Hunter again. The Biden administration keeps arresting Hunter Biden, and it's somehow the Republicans' fault. If you defy a congressional subpoena, you have to be prosecuted, right?
What's your message to people who defy congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee?
I hope that the committee goes after them and holds them accountable.
Should they be prosecuted by the Justice
I do,
Department?
yes.
Okay. So Joe Biden believes no one's above the law, well, except his son.
Does he believe that congressional subpoenas are something that individual citizens can ignore?
I'm just not going to speak to that. Just not.
Why not? Why not?
Are you want to be more specific on your question?
He's a former senator. He's issued subpoenas in his career. Does he believe that subpoenas have to be complied with?
I'm just going to have you speak to the White House counsel on this. I'm just not going to speak to that.
All right, so is Joe Biden coordinating his son's defense strategy? Remember, they talk every day. That's when Joe shares the light of his love. Dad, you want to do lunch at Cafe Milano? I'm in town. Well, what are you in town for, son? Well, they want me to testify about our business, but don't worry, I'm not going. What business? Exactly. So I'll see you soon at lunch. So Joe knew his son was going to break the law.
He said that President Biden was familiar with what his son was going to say on Capitol Hill. If I called my dad and said, I am about to violate a congressional subpoena, he'd probably say, son, you shouldn't do that. Was there any attempt by President Biden to talk Hunter out of it today?
You're going to call your dad Steve?
Call him Dad, usually.
Look, I don't have anything else to add. What you're asking me is actually a private conversation. I'm just not going to get into it.
The Bidens are in trouble. Hunter just got hit with 3 tax felonies last week and decided to top it off with a contempt charge today. On the same day, the House formalized an impeachment inquiry into his father. It's like Hunter's playing a game. How many gun laws, tax laws, and racketeering laws can I break and still get pardoned? Next year should be fun for Joe. He's running for re-election as he's getting impeached, and his son is getting arrested. And whether Joe likes it or not, Hunter Biden is his running mate in 2024. What Hunter does impacts Joe the most, because this is a Joe Biden scandal. Hunter went from the bagman to the fall guy like that. And the media, who usually don't like when people use racial slurs, dodge taxes, and throw guns next to schools and blame it on Mexicans, seem to care deeply about Hunter. Not just about his legal exposure, they care about his personal welfare.
There is a fear among those very close to the president who we've spoken to that if Hunter Biden were to relapse or if anything were to happen, that would be something that would, of course, take such an emotional toll on the president, that would weigh so heavily on him and the first lady, that's something that's always really in the back of his mind.
MSNBC says following the law might make Hunter relapse. And if Hunter relapses, that could kill Joe Biden. Well, then why weren't they worried about Hunter relapsing when they found cocaine in the White House?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.